Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, October 31st, 2018. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe, and Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Fort Hays State is home to another national champion. The university's shotgun team won the national championship last weekend. The Tigers finished first in Division II and also finished with the best score of those teams competing in Division I as well. The competition took place in Ohio, and the Tigers took first place in multiple contests. Stay tuned to TMNtv News for more on the team's national championship. Money and raises have become an issue between Hays USD 489 staff and the Board of Education. Some staff and administrators were given a 4.6% raise in July, but Superintendent John Thiessen told Hays Post that the increase should not have happened. The board has offered teachers in the district a 3.6% raise, and that has led to failed negotiations between the teachers' union and the Board of Education. Now the talks are at an impasse. On Thursday, the board will meet to discuss the raise situation that already was given. The board could approve the raise, as earlier mentioned, or ask that those employees repay some of the excess amount they already received. A member of the Kansas State University rowing team died from a sudden illness. Samantha Scott, 23, died Saturday. She was a rower for the Wildcats the last 4 seasons. Scott was a native of Fort Morgan, Colorado, and was studying architectural engineering at K-State. The Democrat trying to unseat the Republican incumbent in the Big First District told a crowd Monday in Salina that farmers play a key role in the state. According to the Salina Journal, Alan LaPolice said incumbent Roger Marshall has not served as a voice for agricultural in the district. LaPolice vowed to listen to farmers and producers. He, along with several other Democrats in the state, signed the Farmers and Rural Communities Bill of Rights, which shows support for fair and open markets, fair capital, protecting natural resources, local control of the land, food security, allowing farmers to repair their own tractors and equipment, and a brighter future. The suspect accused of phoning in a swatting call that resulted in the death of a Wichita man is expected to change his plea to federal charges. Tyler Barris had pleaded not guilty to making false reports to emergency services, cyberstalking, making interstate threats, wire fraud, and conspiracy, according to the Wichita Eagle. Court files indicate Barris is expected to change his plea on November 13th to avoid going to trial. He is accused of phoning in a fake murder and hostage situation in Wichita law enforcement, involving a feud between players in a video game called Call of Duty. When officers responded to the address given, a man opened the door and was eventually shot by police. 28-year-old Andrew Finch died from the shooting and was no way related to the original feud on the video game. The Topeka Capital-Journal reported members of the Kansas National Guard might be asked to help on ongoing mission along the southwest border. Guardsmen will be screened to ensure possible deployment to the border doesn't conflict with any other deployments soldiers might have. Exact duties the Guardsmen might have to perform were unknown. The Trump administration has been becoming more concerned with a migrant caravan making its way north toward the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is asking for help with personnel in response to the Central American immigrants, who are all hundreds of miles from the U.S. border. An attorney in the northeast part of the state will spend 18 months in prison for federal tax evasion. The Topeka Capital-Journal reported David B. Mandelbaum pleaded guilty to 1 count of tax evasion. He concealed his assets and income to keep the IRS from collecting more than $132,000 in taxes. Mandelbaum was also ordered to pay restitution of approximately $202,000. Those are the stories making headlines in our region this week. After we return from this short break, Jenna will be here with a look at what's happening around the globe.
5, 4, 3, 2, Take it.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus, so presidential announcements, student government association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is the land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple of years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at.
This is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's going on around the globe. On Saturday, a Pittsburgh synagogue fell victim to deadly shooting that left 11 dead and 2 worshipers and 4 officers injured. According to USA Today, the suspect, Robert Bowers, stormed into the Tree of Life congregation shouting hate against Jews. On Monday, the accused arrived in court in a wheelchair. He was wounded on Saturday. He faces 29 federal counts, including hate crimes. U.S. Attorney Scott Brady is seeking the death penalty against Bowers for his crimes. President Donald Trump has shown support for the death penalty, saying, "When people do this, they should get the death penalty." People in the U.S. are keeping their smartphones longer before trading in for a newer model. Data compiled by a mobile company shows the average age of iPhones being upgraded was nearly 3 years old. That's an increase from the 2.37 years 2 years ago. Android users were listed as keeping their phones for 2.66 years before upgrading, an increase from 2.44 years in 2016. Some analysts are saying the rising prices of smartphones are a reason why consumers are holding on to their devices longer before upgrading. The superintendent of a North Carolina high school said bullying was to blame for a recent shooting at the school. One 16-year-old was shot and later died at hospital. The suspect, a freshman, was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. Superintendent Clayton Wilcox said the incident caused by a bullying conflict between the 2 students. He did not say which student was being bullied. According to the Tribune News Service, Google is creating a $25 million fund for artificial intelligence research. Organizations chosen by the company will receive financial assistance and help from Google AI experts. Grant amounts could range from $500,000 to $2 million. The company hopes to delve deeper into AI research and products, which is believed will be an important part of the world's future. Lindsey Graham said he believes in President Donald Trump's efforts to roll back birthright citizenship by executive fiat. The senator from South Carolina has in the past partnered with others to overhaul immigration, but on Tuesday said the process of granting citizenship was an absurd policy. Trump said earlier that he would use an executive order to end birthright citizenship, even though that could be unconstitutional. Graham then said he would file corresponding legislations in the Senate to help that cause, saying the current policy is a magnet for illegal immigration out of the mainstream of the developed world, and it needs to come to an end. The family of a college student who choked to death while taking part in a pancake eating contest is suing the school. Caitlin Nelson, 20, was a student at Sacred Heart University. She began choking a few minutes into the contest and later died as a result at a New York hospital. The family is claiming the lawsuit is at fault for allowing the eating competition to happen. Emergency personnel who responded to the call tried to clear Nelson's airways, but were unable to do so due to the amount of pancakes in her mouth.
It resulted in the loss of oxygen and led to serious brain damage. The lawsuit seeks monetary damages and also hopes to expose the dangers of amateur competitive eating contests. Police officers in Oakland, California originally thought that when a person walked into the police department with a skull, it was a simple Halloween prank. It turned out the skull was human and partially decayed, and turned into law enforcement after being discovered in the backyard of a residence. Detectives quickly launched an investigation, and authorities are calling the death suspicious. Officials are trying to identify the remains while trying to locate the rest of the body. That's what's happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
Anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.
Welcome back to TMNtv. I'm Haley White, bringing you a sports update. Fort Hays football extended its hopes of securing a second consecutive MIAA title Saturday as the Tigers topped Lindenwood 27-14 at home. With the win, head coach Chris Brown earned his 56th win, which led him to become the career coaching wins leader in school history. The Tigers have a big matchup ahead as the team travels to Maryville to take on Northwest Missouri State this Saturday. The Bearcats currently have a one-game lead in the MIAA standings, having only one loss of the season. Coach Brown, Doyen Jabowu, and wide receiver Harley Hazlett discuss what they expect to see in Maryville on Saturday during this week's press conference.
There's always confidence when you go in there and beat them, but that was last year's team, this is this year's team. So, there's nothing that's carrying over. I'm confident in this year's team. I'm confident that we have what it takes to go in there and get the job done. Just like they have a different team as well, different personnel. So, it's not really a carryover. It's just what we've done so far, what we've put on film, and what we've worked on, this summer over the course of the season. And I'm confident that we have the ability to go in there and get the job done.
We have a lot of young guys, so it's more the older guys have to kind of get the younger guys ready for the environment of a hostile crowd, an electric crowd, because it's going to be packed. It's going to be a game, and just that, like, this team is very disciplined, and they're a great team. Like, they're not going to do things to beat themselves. We gotta come in with the mentality that we're going to beat them and play well to beat them.
No, it's still a must win. We have to win this ball game to, at least share the conference title. If we win the next week, and it's playoffs. We're trying to get into the playoffs as well, and one loss can definitely take us out of conference championship, and probably could take us out of getting into the playoffs as well. So, we got to come to practice this week focused and locked in and understanding our backs are still against the wall, and we got to play better than we ever have. We don't need anything spectacular or crazy, but you got to get better at your position and do your job better, and eliminate stupid mistakes, and that have cost us these last few weeks. So But there is. It's a huge ball game, and our kids got to understand this is a huge ball game, and we're playing for a lot. Both teams are playing for a lot. And, I'm sure they want the conference outright, and I don't mind to share, at this point with, how we played against Mo West and Emporia. But, just the things we've done with the young men that we've had and the injuries that we've had as well, it's great progress. But, I expect us to go in there and compete and win this ball game.
Fort Hays women's basketball traveled to Lawrence and nearly topped the Jayhawks with a stellar performance during the exhibition game Sunday. A late three-pointer by junior guard Taylor Rolfs sent the contest in Allen Fieldhouse into overtime. The Tigers were unable to seal the Jayhawks' fate, ultimately losing to KU 90-83. Tiger Media Network's Russell Heitman provided footage of the event.
Historic Allen Fieldhouse and the Kansas Jayhawks played host to the Fort Hays State University women's basketball team on Sunday for both schools' first exhibition contest of the 2018-2019 season. While Fort Hays kept the game close throughout and even forced overtime on a buzzer-beating three-point shot, the Jayhawks ultimately prevailed 90-83. The Tigers were led early by junior Lainey Page and senior Carly Heim, who had 8 and 7 points respectively in the first quarter, including a half-court buzzer beater to end the period from Page. Hot shooting is a key for Page and Heim, along with the rest of the Tigers team this year, according to head coach of the Tigers, Tony Hobson, who looks for three-point shots to play a big factor in their success this year.
That's one of our strong points, I think. We'll probably go 10 deep, and 9 of them, basically 9 of those 10 are catch-and-shoot three-point shooters. I mean, they all have the green light. The only one that wouldn't would be Barbieri at the 5, but Leggett, she shot 51% from the 3 last year, and everybody else can really shoot. So I think that's one of the strong points.
The Tigers would rely on that strong point in the second half on their way to 11 total three-point baskets in the game. Page led the Tigers with 21 total points to keep the game within reach for FHSU, including a stretch of 8 straight points for the forward from Wamego. But it was junior guard Taylor Rolfs in one of her 4 three-point baskets, which helped extend the game to extra time. Head coach of the Jayhawks, Brandon Schneider, praised the execution by the Tigers on Rolf's final shot.
Credit Fort Hays for their execution. I mean, that was March-level execution in an October exhibition game, so credit those guys.
Rolfs continued her hot shooting in the overtime period, hitting a go-ahead three-point basket, but a late 9-1 run from the Jayhawks put the game out of reach for Fort Hays. The game helped further the thoughts Hobson had leading up to the season that his team would be successful, even when playing through some early season mistakes.
I thought we might be decent early in the year this year just because we have so many returners and the way we finished last year's season. Again, I was happy in this environment, and a couple early in the game especially, there was a couple turnovers. We were like inventing new ways to turn the ball over, but we settled in and played well.
FHSU will travel to Manhattan, Kansas on Thursday for their final exhibition tune-up against Kansas State before opening the season on November 9th in Hays against Southwest Minnesota State. This is Russell Heitman, Tiger Media Network.
The Tigers will have one more exhibition game as they face Kansas State in Manhattan on Thursday before they tip off the regular season on November 9th. FHSU women's soccer received the number 4 seed in the 2018 MIAA Women's Soccer Tournament, where the Tigers will host the opening match tonight at 6 p.m. against the number 5 seed Missouri Western inside FHSU Soccer Stadium. The Tigers ended their MIAA season with an 8-3 record and entered tonight's contest 10-6-2 overall. Fort Hays men's soccer completed a perfect MIAA season as they traveled to St. Charles and beat Lindenwood 3-1 on Sunday. With yet another impressive performance under his belt, junior forward Santiago Agudelo earned MIAA Men's Soccer Athlete of the Week for the 5th time this season. The Tigers will complete their regular season play on Saturday as they host the University of Mary for a Senior Day match that is slated for 6 p.m. Fort Hays volleyball suffers a winless weekend on the road as the Tigers fell to Pittsburg State and Central Oklahoma in 3 sets. The Tigers will have a chance to end their regular season on a high note as they wrap up with matches against Northwest Missouri State and Missouri Western this weekend inside of Gross Memorial Coliseum. Sporting Kansas City came out on top of the hard-fought battle Sunday, beating LAFC 2-1 at Children's Mercy Park. With Sunday's win, Sporting finished first in the Western Conference and secured the #1 seed in the Audi 2018 MLS Cup playoffs. As the top seed, Sporting received a knockout round bye and will begin their postseason campaign on Sunday. Kickoff times and broadcast details are to be announced. The Broncos left Arrowhead Stadium with another loss on their record after the tough 30-23 defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. As the top team in the AFC West, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs continue to showcase the team's chemistry each week and extend their winning streak at home. Kansas City takes on the well-improved Cleveland Browns team Sunday at noon on CBS. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another TMNtv Newscast. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!